Can there be a bigger band on the planet?
Queen are rock's undisputed champions, and they've reigned supreme for an incredible 50 years.
They're just our nation's favourite. They're just part of who we are.
Responsible for some of the greatest moments in rock and roll history, Queen have had an astonishing array of hits, including one of the 20th century's most remarkable and unique songs, guaranteed to raise the roof at every concert.
It was massive, but not just massive that week or massive a year later. This was a song that's still massive now.
Tonight, we're counting down the 30 moments that led them to rock and roll immortality. It'll be a wild ride.
Their story is phenomenal and long-lasting, to say the least.
From the suburbs of West London to the stadiums of South America, where vast audiences fell willingly under the intoxicating spell of their legendary frontman, Freddie Mercury.
How many people have there been in the world that could play to 250 or 300,000 people?
To the pinnacle of their spectacular success.
Radio Gaga at Live Aid is one of the finest musical moments of all time, period. I'm not arguing about it. That's a fact.
Let's begin our countdown with the event that kick-started the whole thing. Farrokh Bulsara, or Freddie Mercury as he would come to be known, was born on the beautiful island of Zanzibar, a former British colony in the Indian Ocean. But after a violent revolution in 1964, the Bulsaras were forced to flee and head west to start a new life on the other side of the world.
Freddie being born on the island of Zanzibar is kind of exotic in itself.
Stone Town is, in photographs that I've seen, is a very different place to West London, to say the least.
In the summer of '64, Farrokh found himself in swinging London, the burgeoning capital of cool.
I imagine it was a huge culture shock, coming from first Zanzibar to India and then to England at that time, where the miniskirt was starting to take over a little bit, as well as teenage rebellion. And so Freddie, who'd always been a little bit rebellious, just embraced it, embraced London and all of its great vibes, and here is where he thrived.
It's just a total generational shift. It's the aspiration of change that he meets, and he meets it head on, and he decides at that point, I think, that I can be whoever I want to be.
The 18-year-old wasted no time in enrolling on an art course at Isleworth Polytechnic, where he impressed his new friends with his musical abilities.
There was a piano in the hall in the college, which he used to play impromptu. This was sort of turn up in the morning after hearing the radio, his radio at home, and regurgitating what he'd actually heard once in the morning, and even improvising on what he'd heard, which was quite remarkable, really.
The extraordinary transformation from a self-effacing Farrokh Bulsara to the swaggering Freddie Mercury was underway.
When you think about Freddie in particular, there is no guarantee that a dude who's born in Zanzibar with, sizable teeth and a background that is so alien to British culture at the time could come to England and become this unbelievable superstar.
Freddie was insecure. He's very, very shy, certainly. It's very, very shy. And he transformed, and a lot of artists do. They go, as it were, over the threshold onto the stage, and they become something different.
The Freddie Mercury phenomenon is totally confusing for me. I just don't understand how we managed to get from the Freddie I knew to the Freddie he became. I have no understanding of it at all. It's a shock, actually, in a way.
Seen here in the late 1950s, charmingly captured in an intimate shot, clearly highlighting the love he felt for the guitar, the teenage Brian May always had rock star ambitions.
Brian and I were in a school band gigging virtually every week, and when we both left school and went to college, we decided that we wanted to form a more serious band.
The band was Smile, featuring Tim, third from the right, on vocals, and Brian, sitting on the bonnet, as guitarist. But they were missing one vital ingredient.
That's when we advertised for a drummer. We wanted a power trio.
Yesterday, my life was in...
Seen here in authentically grainy black and white footage, the young Brian May and Roger Taylor look relaxed and self-assured, performing as two-thirds of Smile.
Already with Smile, between Brian and Roger, you're starting to get a hint of those layered harmonies that would come later on. I mean, it's amazing, you know, Roger can get that very high register. And even then, they were beginning to use that to kind of create a wall of sound with the vocals.
As Smile was steadily gaining a fan base in the pubs and clubs of West London, a certain charming and charismatic friend of Roger's began to take a keen interest in the band.
Along comes Freddie in 1970. He sees Smile performing, and he likes what he sees to some degree. He likes the look, the sound of Roger's cannoning drums and Brian's squealing metalish guitar.
The thing about Freddie was he was a flamboyant performer, and I never was. I could never, and Freddie knew that. Even when Smile was still going, Freddie knew that there was a serious lack of a frontman in Smile. It was serendipitous that I left.
What he's bringing to it is show business. For a start, he brings an alias. He's someone else, he's other. He's a performer already. He's not really called Freddie Mercury. Another significant moment, I think, is what the musos in the band, May, Taylor, they want to call the group Grand Dance. They want to call the group Rich Kids. You know, these are muso names. They're no good. They're useless. Queen. There's a name.
Coming up, the secret behind Queen's unique sound.
People go nuts for it. It's like another member of the band.